Okay, so we are back with another video about some support documents for homeschool teaching. And a reminder, if you can hear my voice, but you're not able to see any images on the screen, you might need to open this video in a different media player. So VLC is the media player that works for me, and there may be other ones that work as well. And today we're talking about the math document. And remember, the idea behind showing you these documents is to try to help you feel more confident and empower you to make decisions that are going to be useful and support your students' learning. That way you can kind of individualize it a little bit, tailor the learning to their needs. And these documents are a great place to start with some of those ideas. So as a reminder, there's this page in the package that you've received or should have received. And today we're looking at the link for grade 3 math. But the good news is that the documents are the same throughout. And what you'll notice is that in the math documents, there are actually a few different areas. So looking at this is a screenshot of the website. I know this says grade 2, but the document we're looking at is actually grade 3. But it's a little bit different than the social studies website. Down here, we have the documents about the 4 different learning areas. So in math, you have number, patterns and relations, shape and space, and statistics and probability. Those are the 4 main areas. And in grade 1, if you're looking at the grade 1 documents, it only has 3. There's no section for statistics and probability. And so these are the support documents that explain the activities that you can do. And then a little higher up on the page here with the black line masters, that is the document with different handouts or worksheets that you can use to go along with the activities. So let's get back to the document. Here's our BLM. Here is our document about the math activities. And let's take a look through it here. So this one is set up differently than the social studies one, not surprising. Rather than just talking about the SLOs, the specific learning outcomes, here we have what they call an enduring understanding. So this is kind of the big idea that students should learn by doing these activities. And they also have an essential question. So this is the question that you can ask the students to kind of stimulate their thinking or get them to explore a little bit and learn in that way. So the question with this section is there a quicker way to find the answer than counting by ones from 1? We've got the SLOs here. So we're looking at some different ways of counting. Remember, this is grade 3. So looking at number sequences, counting by tens or 100s using any starting point, counting by 5s, and even counting by 25s here. And then 0 to 100, counting by 3s using starting points that are multiples of 3, and counting to 100 by using 4s. Using 4s, starting points that are multiples of 4. And the nice thing is here, you're seeing what the students should be learning, their learning goals. And then right beside it here, they've included ways that you can see or test, if you want to think about it that way, where you can see if the student has actually learned those things. So I like the way that this is set up, and it gives you some different ideas. And of course, you don't want to be doing these assessment indicators until the student has actually taken the time to learn these different skills. If you try to skip that step, they're going to have a hard time. So this is a situation talking about what students may already know. So maybe they've learned those in previous grades. Maybe it's a skill that they already have that they learned themselves. This gives some background information, kind of explaining the details of the skills. And this document is much longer than the social studies one. So that might seem scary, but the reason it's longer is because there's more clear explanation, like this background information. They include different language that you can use here. And one thing that's really handy is if you ever see language that you're not sure about, there are math glossaries that are very useful online. So multiples, sometimes when people are talking about fractions and there's a numerator and the denominator, it can be really simple to just go online and check out a math glossary so you can know exactly what you're talking about. Now here we're getting kind of into the meat of things and the learning experiences. And so this is a way to see what your student already knows, assessing prior knowledge. So you can talk with them, you can ask them to do these different tasks. And the good thing about that is you might find that they're really quick and really skilled at it. That's great. You might also find that maybe they have difficulty with certain areas. So you might find that your student is really good at counting by twos and counting by tens, but maybe they have difficulty counting by fives and counting by threes. So this is a really great starting point for you to find out what your student already knows, what they're really strong with, and some areas where you might need to do a little work to enhance their skills before you go forward. Okay. So now we have the suggestions for instruction. So similar to the social studies document, these are some activities that you can use to help your student learn these different skills. So obviously it's going to be difficult to count in a circle if you've only got one student there. Not all these activities are going to apply. But here's a great one here, problem solving. Have students think about counting by asking questions like this. If you start with 126, how many tens do you need to add to get more than 100? So this is going to encourage them to try counting by 10, thinking about how many groups of 10 they need. And one of the great things here is that we see in the corner BLM 3.n.1.1. So we are going to hop over to our Blackline master. And the thing about this document is that it's much longer. You see here, there's 150 pages. So it can be pretty tough to find things sometimes. So we're looking for BLM 3.n.1.1. What I like to do is you can click this button here, or you can hit Control F, and you can type in the name or the title of that sheet that you're looking for. So we're looking for 3.n.1.1. I'm going to hit enter. Bam, there we go. So you can use these number cards to work on counting and on this activity here. So these give different activities. Here's another activity for a 100 chart, looking for patterns in a 100 chart. And then of course you see here's the BLM. So let's check out that number there, 3.n.1.2. And hey, there's our 100 chart. So if you want to, you can print that out, or you can use it on the computer or an iPad if you have something like that. You can even use this on your phone if you're able to download it on your phone. Might be a little bit small, but still an option that you can work with there. So more suggestions for instruction, different activities that students can do. And then at the end here, we have assessing understanding. So remember, once you've gone through these different learning activities, it's important to check to see if your student has actually learned those skills, if they actually understand those ideas, and if they can actually apply them. So this is a similar thing to that starting interview to see what they know. And then you can ask them, you can have a conversation, and they can just share with you that way. Here's some more suggestions for instruction. Here's another BLM, 3.n.1.3. We're going to prepare a set of cards containing both correct and incorrect skip counting sequences, and students can sort them. So you can print them out, cut them out. Let's use this number here and see what that printout looks like. Remember, I'm going to use the handy finding tool right here, 3.n.1.3. And there we go. So let's see which sequences are correct or incorrect. Here we have 234, 244, 254, 264. So this one is counting by tens. Here we have 775, 750, 725, 700. This one is counting backwards or counting down by groups of 25, it looks like. And so you can use these and ask the student to group them in different ways, depending on what you're asking them to do. Counting by tens, counting by twos. This document is also great because it has not only just like talking, spoken assessment tasks, but it has written stuff here too. So you can ask students to write something down. And what you might find also is that the student might be able to tell you the correct answer. They might be able to count and speak out loud correctly, counting by tens, for example, but they might have trouble actually writing it down on paper. So then that gives you an idea that, they understand the skill, but something's getting lost along the way between their mind and between getting it on paper. So then that gives you more important information that you can work with. So we've got 1, 2 different tasks there, and then we continue more to different ideas. So each of these suggestions for instruction gives you 1 or 2 different activities that you can do, and this document just goes on and on and on. So those activities that we looked at were all ideas for one specific learning area up here, counting in by groups, counting by tens, fives, 25s, that sort of thing. And then if we look further down, if we take a minute to scroll to our next section here, then we have a different concept or a different idea that the students are working on here. So we're not talking about counting by different groups of numbers, but we're talking about representing or showing numbers in different ways. So we can show groups of objects, we can draw pictures to show numbers, or we can use the actual numeral, writing down that number that the student is familiar with. So I hope that this has been a useful little video for you. I hope that helps you understand things and gives you ideas to do lessons with your students and try all kinds of different things. And remember, the reason why they give different activities for the same concept or for the same skill is because different students learn differently, and it's important to try approaching things from different angles. So this is another document that gives you a lot of ideas. It gives you different ways to approach those ideas. And then, of course, using the Blackline Masters, it gives you all kinds of different resources that can support those different activities. So I hope it's been useful for you. Thank you for checking it out. And of course, if you have any questions, you can email me. We can talk over Zoom, or we can sort it out together. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.